Woo!
Yeah!
Yeah.
Fight day! Woo!
Pay-per-view.
Second one. Two of them this month, Casey.
Take my money, UFC.
Look, at least it's good. At least
is,
it's a good one. So I am excited. Boom. Okay, so let's bring us up on there. We got no time to waste.
No.
Hello, everybody. I am Jed Mashu of MMAfighting.com. That right there, that's Casey Leiden, Mr. 3024 of MMAfighting.com. And as you heard, it's fight day. We got a little late start. The fights appear to have been moved up a touch, so you know what this is about. We're here to get hype. We're here to get ready. 286 going down in 30 minutes or less. And this is your time, the fan Q&A. We're going to talk all about what you guys want to talk about this fight card. And since we're already a little late to the game, what with the time moving up, oddly, Casey, do we have something to hop right into?
All right. First question I see is about BKFC. No, we're not going to talk about BKFC.
God love BKFC, but this is actually a good event. This is not a pre-fight Q&A because we do it every time for some random fight night. 286 is good. Now, the next 10 fights, your mileage may vary, but when we get to that pay-per-view, the part you are actually paying real hard-earned dollars for, it's a good damn fight card.
It's two fights are really good, and then some fights, but mileage may vary. I think I appreciate a lot of the fights.
Two fights are chef's kiss. Two fights are chef's kiss, and the other three main card fights are very relevant, and they may be boring as hell. Like, I'm not here to tell you those fights are going to be off the chain exciting, but they are very relevant, meaningful fights. And there's a potential for them to be exciting. So, you know me. I'm the guy who's going to tell you if a fight card is trash. And this isn't. Now, again, with 15 fights is a lot, but see this. You see this sort of every time they do it. When they go international, they just have a lot of people who want to fight. So, no Fight Circus card this weekend, David Sandine. So, that's a shame. Fight Circus is the end of the month. I believe the 31st is the date, though. Don't quote me on that. And that's going to be great.
All right, here we go.
Oh, we actually have something. Okay, Jay, what is your guys' low-key banger fight? Casey, we talked about this yesterday, so why don't you lead us off here?
I'm actually gonna go with a weird one. I'm saying low-key banger is everything outside the top two fights, honestly, because I think that the whole card is being sold. I mean, we did an hour and 20 minutes on the preview show, and we only talked. The first hour was about the first two fights. We only talked 20 minutes of the last 13 fights. So I'm going to say everything after the first two fights are low-key bangers. So I'm going to go with oddly, I'm going with Marvin Vettori, Roman Dolidze. Mostly because Roman Dolidze could be one fight away from a UFC title shot if he beats Marvin Vettori. And that's just kind of shocking to me. And when I saw this fight originally, I was just like, all right, cool. Marvin Vettori's getting a fight. Roman Dolidze is on a streak. I was just like, cool. Good. I'm sure they want to win. But I actually didn't realize the ranking championship significance of this fight. If you beat a guy like Vettori and with the win streak Dolidze is on. So maybe not the most exciting fight, but as far as like significance to the division, that's my low-key banger, actually.
He's a top 5 fighter if he beats this, and that's
legit. I mean, it's weird. I never saw him as a top 5 fighter, and if he
came out of nowhere a little bit, for sure.
And I love that actually. As a fan, I love that. I love guys just kind of coming out of nowhere, like, oh crap, I just wasn't paying attention, and good for him.
Yeah, he just figures it out, and I'm for it. Especially if Izzy wins the rematch. I doubt they do a trilogy fight with him and Pereira. Maybe they do. But if Izzy wins, he's not going to fight Whitaker a third time. So, honestly, he may be this fight away, because if Izzy wins, it's functionally going to be between him and Dricus du Plessis, who gets the next title fight against champion Izzy. So, maybe those two just fight it out for the right to get the next title shot. But yeah, if Roman Dolidze pulls this off, he is in the mix for sure. For me, I've said it all week. It's not the one I thought, but it's Sam Patterson, Yanal Ashmaz. I may have butchered that. I'm sorry if I did. Sam Patterson, people in the UK are pretty high on this kid. He's 26, something like that. Pretty young, enormous for lightweight, and he's shown some good signs. And I wasn't like all that stoked, but on No Bets Bar this week, Alex Richings was like, Sam Patterson, I want to see what this kid can do. Got a lot of hype behind him. And if he can win and string together a couple of wins, get himself in that top 25-ish conversation, we can get Sam Patterson 6'3" versus Jalen Turner 6'3", the middleweightiest lightweight fight that's ever happened. And so I'm in for it. That's my banger of the week.
All right.
What else we got?
Yeah. And I still am very interested in seeing Makhayev's progression in the UFC. I'm still interested in that. I mean, I think we all are, but like I'm really interested rather.
Yeah. And Jafel Filio's like, I think he's going to lose, but he is not a pushover, so there should at least be something going on. But yeah, 1,000%. Like, I really hope to see him show more of a killer instinct moving forward. But that'll be kind of the big sign for me watching him. He's obviously been great positionally. He just hasn't been a huge damage guy. He is hunting for subs a lot, and if you can't get them, the fights aren't as one-sided as maybe you'd like to see for someone with as much potential, but for sure.
Yeah. And one thing I didn't about Makhachev, just because I didn't really look at too extensively into his amateur career, he is an IMMAF champion. And do you know what that is?
It's international amateur mixed martial arts, whatever.
It's essentially
I don't remember exactly what the acronym is.
It's the closest thing that MMA has to the Olympics. And one of my teammates just came back from Serbia who fought in that, and he won his first fight, lost the second fight. He fight 3 fights in a row, back-to-back days. It's incredibly difficult, and against such high-level guys. He was like, dude, the people there were like pro. These were not amateur fighters. They were like just. And he said, and he was talking about Makhachev. Makhachev was just like a couple years ago, so that's why he went to Serbia to do all this stuff. And he was just talking about it. So I was like, oh man. So I don't know. I just learned a lot about him. I didn't realize about his amateur career. So yeah, very interested in that fight. All right, next question.
I want to say that he was like a multiple-time amateur champion too, because he had an extensive AMI career, which is good. Like that's sort of how you'd want to see a 17, 18-year-old kid develop coming into the sport.
But you look at his record, look at the dates. It was back-to-back days. So
I mean it's a freaking gauntlet, man.
Yeah,
it is. You are fighting 4 times in a week, and that is. Amateur or pro, that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
that's just hard shit.
Yeah, and my wrestling jiu-jitsu coach went there too. He was just telling me, dude, the talent there is insane. He was just blown away by the talent at these amateur tournaments there in Europe. But,
I'm a big fan of it in general, just because it's more traditional path forward in sports. Obviously, not combat sports, particularly in MMA specifically. Like historically, there just hasn't. Amateurs have really. It's not a big proving ground. I think that this is developing into more of that, and so you're going to see a lot more guys come through, particularly as you start younger in the sport, and it's a better avenue to develop rapidly and well. So, good signs. So I always have a ton of respect for World Combat Sambo champions, because it's like pretty good facsimile of MMA, and it's the same kind of deal. All right, next question. Hiking 247, thoughts on Jack Shore moving up a weight class? Casey, I have conflicting thoughts on this. So let's start with you. How do you feel about Connor Burks' favorite fighter, Jack Tank Shore, moving up to 145?
First of all, that was a legit 20. I don't know what the controversy is about. His dark game, but so that's what I'm really concerned about. But what's this? I think it's good. How old is he? 28. Yeah,
28. Just turned 28.
Mach 1's the right opponent. How about that for him? I think. I think
I agree in principle with
if you're
that
gonna do
for
the jump
sure.
up, I think this is the proper opponent. Um, yeah, he's a talented. He's obviously a very talented fighter. He's leaving a. You know what? It's a great move because I understand we disagree, but I think worldwide bantamweight division is the toughest division in the world, and him leaving for a slightly say easier is the wrong word, but there's a shorter path to the top. I think at 45 than there is at 35 for Jack Shore. Good on him. I hope it works out for him. Yeah.
I'm a bit of two minds here. If he just felt that he needed to because the weight cut was simply getting too difficult for him, he's certainly not a small bantamweight. Then yeah, I agree with you that historically moving up in weight is just a better way to compete. You're cutting less, you're losing less, and weight classes above you tend to be easier in general. It doesn't work everywhere, but like it's just sort of how the sport is broken out. Uh, my issue is that the timing of this feels a little odd. He didn't lose to Ricky Simone because he gassed out or was too big or what. He lost to Ricky Simone because Ricky Simone is an incredible athlete
Yeah.
and he's playing a different sport. Like Jack Shore was simply playing a different sport than Ricky Simone. And so I'm interested to see. I think Makwan's a great opponent for him here. The athletic limitations are going to be there in either bantamweight or featherweight. Probably a few less good athletes in around the top of featherweight for him to compete with in that regard, but losing that size advantage that he has over a lot of bantamweights, and 5'9" is rangy at bantamweight for sure.
Oh,
At
yeah, sure.
featherweight, that's a lot more the standard that you're working with. So I'll be interested to see how it develops. I think this is an ideal opponent for him in this regard. Makwan is, going to have a good first round, probably. But if Jack Shore doesn't even let him have that, that's great. And certainly Jack Shore should be able to kind of carry the day after the first 5 minutes. So I'm interested. We'll see how it goes,
Yeah. And I'm not in the training room with him, so like I don't know. I just assume like the last 2 months of training, he's not actually doing any training. It's really just being stressed about your weight.
Probably a lot of it, certainly.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
because he was not a small bantamweight by any
no.
regards. So this does feel certainly like a more natural weight class for whatever that means. I want to see how he carries it. I want to see if he maybe bulked up a little bit because he can carry weight. He doesn't have to be as concerned about keeping his weight down. We'll just see. I mean, it's a huge. It can be a major difference or make no factor at all. Like we're gonna find out tonight, though.
Yes, sir. Let's talk about the big fights. That big fight.
Ooh, the big fights.
That big fight.
Who will have more takedown attempts, Leon Edwards or Justin Gaethje? I'm gonna lead us off here. I believe the answer will be Leon Edwards. I think we are talking a small degree for both men at this point. Like Leon, I think had two. I'm gonna look this up just to be 1,000% sure. I think he had two takedown attempts on Usman in their rematch. Um, he had five. Wow, I did not realize he had five. I remember him obviously getting the trip takedown in the first round, and I remember him shooting kind of lamely in like the second or third round, and the commentary team openly mocking him for it. Uh, I don't takedown attempts are. I think it's fine to mix in a few for Leon. He shouldn't be shot wrestling. That's just not really going to get
Yeah.
him anywhere because that has gotten precisely zero people have had success doing that against Kamaru Usman. But maybe, getting an overhook, pulling a trip like he did in the first round, that's always something, particularly because it appears that if he can get top position, he's holding it. Based on that first round, Kamaru Usman was never close to escaping that. So it wouldn't be bad, but I think my belief is that he's going to largely try and approach this fight as making this a ranged kickboxing matchup, keeping his back off the cage a little more effectively. And so we're not going to see that many from him, maybe just a couple. I think Gaethje's all smoke and mirrors, man. I know he talked about it in some pre-fight interviews saying he's probably, it's good to give your opponent something to think about. He might, I think he told Shaquille Majuri he's like a 60% chance that he shoots for a takedown, which might be his first takedown attempt in the UFC. I can't recall any off the top of my head. That I know he's never scored one. I don't know if he's ever shot one. I just feels like smoke and mirrors. I don't think that's really never been a huge part of his game. We just talk about how it theoretically could be because he has the accolades. I think he's coming in here to do Justin Gaethje things, and shooting on Rafael Fiziev has not been a good strategy for almost anyone anyway. So I don't know why Gaethje would do it. But what do you think, Casey?
I think for this actual question,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go Edwards. But like I agree with you, there won't be traditional takedown attempts, more trips against the cage, things like that. But he will attempt to get Kamaru to the ground. That will happen more than once. So I think he will have more attempts to get Kamaru to the ground. But
Over under 3.5 for Leon takedown attempts, be they trips or what have you.
Over. Yeah.
Over. Okay.
Yeah. I think pretty much in any clinch situation they're in, there will be some sort of attempt from Leon to take Kamaru down. I think
It wouldn't be a bad idea.
I mean, why not? That was outside of the kick. That was your most successful strategy in the first fight, and Kamaru seems to maybe that's his hole. Maybe that's his big glaring hole in his game. He's mediocre on his back.
Could totally be.
We just don't know because no one can get him on his back for a substantial amount of time.
100% of the time, Kamaru Usman has been taken down. He has been dominated on the ground because it's only happened once, and Leon dominated him the one takedown he got. So it is totally possible that that's just a flaw in his game.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. But am I crazy to think that I don't think Justin Gaethje can win this fight unless he has to threaten a takedown. He has to even go for a takedown, and not even planning to truly land it. But I just think like he has to get Fiziev thinking, because I don't think just chopping Fiziev's legs will be enough to open up Justin's striking to knock Fiziev out. I don't know. I just think Justin has to. He has to use strategy. I don't know. At some point, this whole I'm the most exciting violent fighter in the world. If he wants to win that belt, he's gotta use strategy a bit. I know we don't like. I know we've been kind of saying that for a while, but are we at that point yet? Or can he just spin his arms like Bart Simpson and Lisa fighting?
I will say in Justin Gaethje's defense, it has so happened that the two times he fought for the title, the optimal strategy did not involve offensive takedowns. Taking down Khabib would have been a historically bad idea. And obviously taking down Charles Oliveira would also have been a pretty bad idea for him. I understand the idea behind, like the concept behind if he can get it. And I'm not saying he should like wholly swear off it. If something is open, if Fiziev is getting a little too big for his britches and it's there, Fiziev is a very good defensive wrestler, and he's also very good at making you pay for trying to wrestle him. And Gaethje, his game isn't offensive wrestling. I know that he has the acumen to wrestle proactively, but we haven't seen a lot of it. And so I have enormous questions about how good he actually will be at holding position and, working. And frankly, it feels unfair because the times we have seen him grapple have been against Charles Oliveira and Khabib Nurmagomedov, arguably the two greatest grapplers this division has ever seen. He got pantsed both times the fight was on the floor. It wasn't close. So Fiziev's probably we don't think of him as a good grappler, but I have no idea if Justin Gaethje is actually like a good submission grappler at all. So it's never going to hurt you to create more opportunities, and if something's there, but I think Justin Gaethje should, in my opinion, be focused on the stuff that he does well and creating the fights that he has historically thrived in. And none of those have really involved offensive wrestling.
Who's the most similar opponent that Gaethje's fought to Fiziev?
That's a good question. Let's
What do you think?
let me pull up just in case so I'm not forgetting anybody. The problem is it's not a ton in that regard. I mean, Edson Barbosa is probably it,
Yeah, I was
but
thinking
it is
Barboza.
just
Just
they're very different on the time scale of
yeah,
like young Barbosa is, in the neighborhood of Fiziev in the skills that they're bringing to the cage, even if actually tactically they don't fight like enormously similar, but they're offering similar kinds of offensive
yeah,
threat there. Um, but Barbosa was a God love Barbosa. He fought the hardest schedule of fighters you will ever fight, and
yeah.
I don't think at that point he could offer his best anymore. Fiziev seems very clearly able to provide some real pushback here. So I think Barbosa probably is it though. That still feels like the
Yeah,
right kind of
feels
Muay
like yeah,
Thai
it just feels like,
kick,
but just their
kicking and
frames are,
body attack style.
yeah, but they just have completely just opposite in frames. Even though they have
Very
same
opposite
styles,
in
their frames are
frames.
so different. Yeah, like
Very
one's
opposite in
this way, one's
frames.
that way. All right.
All right, what do we
Okay.
got next?
They are running the promos for the Miller Hardy fight right now, so we still have a few minutes.
I
All
see
right.
that. I just pulled up the stream, so
Oh, I'm
go ahead
very
and keep
excited
an
about
eye
this
on
Miller
that.
fight. By the way, I think this is a great opener to the card.
It is. I kind of wish Juliana Miller had taken a little more time getting to the UFC because she's got a lot of potential, and it
Yeah.
feels like she may have rushed this a little more than necessary. But she can grapple her ass off.
Yeah.
Think she's gonna just run roughshod over Mrs. Hardy.
Okay. Yeah, I think so too. Let me find a question. Um,
Veronica Hardy is in fact making her way to the cage right now.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, let me find one more
Let's say
question.
one more question, and then we can get into picks.
You know what? It's
Nothing jumping out.
nothing. Oh, here one more. Here we go. Before we get to picks.
Thoughts on will she fight for a title? Yes. I think Casey O'Neill is the most likely opponent right now in this weight class to fight Erin Blanchfield twice. She's going to lose both times, but I think she is right now would be my front runner for the quote unquote foil to champion Erin Blanchfield because I am firmly of the belief that Erin Blanchfield is about to run this ship for the next several years. But Casey
Uh,
O'Neill will get to a title fight.
I'm not on the hype train yet for Casey O'Neill, but this fight will change it though. If you beat Jennifer Maia, you are basically you're an elite flyweight in the UFC division, and being how long O'Neill's been out for a year, her toughest fight by far. Although she steamrolled all of her opponents so far, did
Yeah.
Casey O'Neill steamroll Roxanne Modafferi? I don't really remember that fight honestly.
No, she won. It shouldn't have been a split in my mind. She won pretty convincingly, but she struggled a lot more than you certainly than the odd maker thought, and she would have thought simply because Roxy's really tough. Like who, not a lot of people have run over Roxy. Casey O'Neill landed like 300 strikes or something insane. But she ate a bunch of shots because Roxy
Okay,
has
now
veteran.
the images are coming back now. I'm
Yeah.
remembering the fight now. Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
was a ton of exchanging. She got the better of most of them, but she didn't quite run over Roxy. Certainly not in the way people expected.
yeah. So
The thing
that
is,
one
she's
kind of
just 25, and the rest,
yeah.
like there's not a like there are fun and exciting rising contenders in this weight class, but I mean, outside of Alexa Grasso and Aaron Blanchfield, right? Like those the top people in the weight class in that sort of youngish age. Manon Fiorot is actually kind of old. She's 32, 33. So she doesn't have that many years left as the new kid on the block and still being in there. And then you're looking at, I'm just never gonna be sold on Macy Barber. I'm sorry. And there's Tracy Cortez, there's some other people, but I think
Miranda
we've seen it.
Maverick. Yeah.
Miranda Maverick. I've been the most impressed by what O'Neill what her
Okay.
potential can be. So I think she's got the best chance to sort of move into a perennial top 5, top 7 flyweight for the next little stretch here.
All right, cool. All right, let's do our picks now.
Let's do the picks. Casey, the main card opener, your low-key banger of this week. Marvelous Marvin Vettori. I don't think that's his name, which is dumb.
Really
I have
be.
no idea. The Italian dream is like whatever. He should be Marvelous Marvin Vettori. Shouts to the great Marvin Hagler. Taking on Roman Holiday Dolidze. Who you got?
As a fan, I want Dolidze to win because I want a change up in the division, but my brain's going Vettori after taking a bunch of punches and kicks to the skull. He will eventually just win a grindy decision, and it will be a very marvelous Marvin fight.
He's going to Marvin Vettori all over Roman Dolidze. I love Roman Dolidze. Has been an incredibly fun and great run. He has been doing a lot of winning with specific moments of great offense. And I just genuinely don't think anybody can get Marvin Vettori out of there. That no one's done it before. Man seems to be made of an adamantium of mithril and steel, or I don't know, but it's impressive. So I'm going Marvin Vettori by decision because death taxes and Marvin Vettori by decision. Great way to go. Featured flyweight bout. Jennifer Mike, the aforementioned Casey Neal. Casey, are you taking your fellow Casey?
I'm going Casey O'Neill in a competitive 29-28 type of fight.
I didn't hear at all what you said because my Siri decided that Siri was who I was talking to. So who did you take?
Casey O'Neill, 29-28 in a competitive fight. She will get the win. She'll not necessarily outclass Jennifer Maia, but we'll go, okay, Casey O'Neill is a top 10 flyweight, but I don't think this is the fight that we're going to be going, watch out Grasso, watch out Blanchfield, but it will be a solid win for Casey O'Neill, I feel.
I agree in most respects. I'm going to say 30-27s, but a competitive 30-27, not a run roughshod. I think she's simply just going to land a lot more than Jennifer Maia is, and it's going to be okay. She edged 3 different rounds, and there you go. Featured welterweight bout, Gunnar Nelson taking on Brian Barberena. I'll go first on this one because it's real easy. Brian Barberena is not very good at defensive wrestling. Gunnar Nelson is an extraordinary grappler. This is formulaic. Gunny by submission. I'm going round 2 because he is not a guy who rushes his setups. He's going to let it come to him, but I think he's going to get this up.
Exactly. Same thing. Gunner submission round 2. Barberena he'll be lucky to get out of round 1, and then he'll be taken out round 2.
We see it the same. Co-main event as we are about to start the first fight of the night. Justin Gaethje taking on Rafael Fiziev. Lightweight bout. Casey, it seems like you believe in Fiziev. Is that true?
Fiziev will defeat the most exciting fighter to ever enter a cage by 3rd round knockout.
I don't hate it. I think that's the logical answer. I'm picking with my heart here. Not about Justin Gaethje's outside of the cage stuff. There's a lot to not feel great about in that regard, but inside the cage is the most fun fighter I've ever seen because I think he's the most fun fighter in history. And I think we are about to get the 2023 fight of the year. I think this is going to look like Dustin Poirier, Eddie Alvarez, Mike Chandler, just a turbocharged brawl because Fiziev will do it with him. So I'm going to say 29-28, the fight of the year is coming in for us in the co-main event. Justin Gaethje gets it done, stays in the lightweight title picture, which brings us to the main event.
And I think it still will be a fight of the year, by the way. It will not, even though it will be a finish, it will be a fight of the year with a finish.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, Gaethje's going to get hurt because he seemingly always does. I'm just picking him to battle through and outpoint him. Which brings us to the main event, the trilogy, the one we're here for. Leon Rocky Edwards taking on Kamaru Usman, the man he took the belt from 7 months after the fact. Are you going with Ann Still or are you going with Ann New, Casey?
All week I was leaning to Ann Still, but I'm going to lose my decision. I'm going Usman decision. I think it's going to be exactly like the first fight, except for it's going to be the first 24 minutes of that first fight, and then I think Usman. We're gonna get the 70% Usman. What was it back in the day? Or 30% Usman, where since he will get that win. When that fifth round comes, he knows what he needs to do just to get that win. I just think he got lazy and just really way too relaxed in that fifth round. And I don't want to call it a fluke or lucky, but Edwards capitalized on a mistake. And I don't think Usman's going to make that same mistake this time. So
Understand entirely. It's not a fluke. It's not a lucky shot. It is just the realities of the game. I also think it's fair to say that that's not a high percentage thing to have happened in those circumstances. All week I've been saying Kamaru Usman is the pick that makes sense, just looking at the style, how it matches up. I'm going the opposite way, though, because all week I've been saying Usman, something about the press conference before and them sharing the stage and the confidence, the sheer confidence Leon Edwards is exuding. I've never seen him like this before. And he's always, he believes in himself, but this has been, he's playing the dozens with Usman. He's getting after it. I don't know this. I don't want to say that he's like turned a corner entirely and that he's going to be some new dude, but there is a different aura about him, and this is not scientific, but I'm just going to choose to believe in that this guy is ready to fight in a very different way than their previous one. He knows that he can't fight like that again and expect to retain, and that confidence is going to show out, and it's going to be the Leon Edwards era for however long it lasts, but he will retain and establish himself firmly as the top welterweight in the world. So I'm taking Leon Edwards. I'm going to take him by decision, which I don't know if that's a good pick or not, but my official Tapology pick is still Usman because when I put it in, but because I thought all week, it's like, I'm just going to go with Usman, but I'm taking Rocky for the upset and still.
So Rocky by the upset, is it kind of a couple of round one type rounds, or is he just going to
I think he's going to be the one pushing Usman back. I like I said, it's not a lucky kick. I don't think the expectation. I do not have the expectation that he can repeatedly finish Kamaru Usman. I think if they fought a bunch, he can't. But I think this will just be a fight where he will be much more aggressive, much more focused on winning the footwork battle and pushing Usman back and making Usman uncomfortable and just sort of outlanding him. Because he had a lot of success when Usman wasn't pressuring him nonstop. Snap kicks to the body, low kicks. Usman couldn't really catch kicks. I think he's just going to sort of outpoint him in a fight that is going to be more fun. Usman is going to have moments. You can't stop him forever. I think he's just going to be able to do enough to kind of win this fight. And I just couldn't. I should be picking by a finish, but I just couldn't do it. I can't. Leon Edwards is not a guy who's historically finished a lot of people, so I'm not doing it. But that brings us to an end. The first round of Hardy Miller has come to an end, and frankly, Hardy. Obviously, we were doing this, so I wasn't watching super closely, but Hardy appeared to be having a good amount of success in that round. So we'll end it here. You guys can watch this, and then we're going to come back. You guys are going to see us in however many hours away it is, like 8. It's going to be a while because of all the fights, but we're going to have the live stream after, as we always do. You and me, Case, just getting after it as they're doing interviews. Going to have a post show, but most importantly, there's a main card watch along as we do for all the pay-per-views. The great Mike Heck is in New York City with Connor Burks in studio. Couple of surprise guests, maybe. Don't want to promise anything, but I've heard rumors of a surprise guest, so it'll be exciting. Tune in for the watch along. Thanks for joining us, and then tune into ESPN Plus right now or whatever provider it's on for you, because we've got round 2 of Hardy Miller. See you guys in a few hours.